hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pre-show for Greyhawk Saturday Nights. This is DM Galabond. The players are gradually trickling into the Roll20 and the Discord. And in the pre-show and during the break, the music you are hearing is provided by Streambeat. No, it's not. It's provided by Pipe Dream Hits. So that there's something wrong with the slate. I know it. I know I updated that stupid slate. Well, I'll have to change it at the break. But anyway,
hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Did your teams have a good showing for the last 2 weeks?
One yes, one not so much. One of the teams is doing very well, seeming to have their sights firmly set on the postseason. The other team seems to be doing everything they can to try to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. They started 2 weeks ago. They were in second place in the league. And, firmly in position to have a first round home field matchup in the playoffs, and potentially even a bye in the first round of the playoffs. And they went on the road and played a team that's currently out of playoff contention, and they wound up losing that match. Then they came back home for a midweek match against another team that's out of the playoffs, and they went ahead and they lost that match too. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? What's wrong with you?
So they're underestimating teams just because they're not in the playoffs, or they're not in the running for it?
Well, the first one I would say maybe they underestimated, but I would have thought that after getting their butts handed to them by a team, they would be mad, and especially at home would want to buckle down. But they just look lethargic the first 25 minutes of the match and wound up giving up a goal. And then by the 38th minute, their captain had gotten a second yellow card and was sent off. So then they had to play the rest of the game down a man. And, it's just like everything just snowballed against them from there.
Do yellow cards have like a multiple game impact? Like if you get 2 yellow cards, are you out like the second game, or is that once you get past that point?
No. So he was out for the second half of that match, and then he'll have to sit out one full match. So yeah, it's
there's a multi-game impact.
Yeah, the balance of the game where you pick up the red card or the second yellow, or you, and then you are suspended for one full match. So, yeah. Which
plays into they're trying to snatch defeat from victory, since that means one of their top players is out for a whole nother match. Yeah.
And it's like, it's one of these guys who's won everything. I mean, he's literally done everything you can do in FIFA except win an MLS championship, and now he's trying to do what he can to lose that. So, all right, welcome everybody to Sports Ball Talk. I mean, not Sports Ball Talk. This is This is Greyhawk Saturday Nights. I am DM Galabond, and I am joined on the Discord and in the Roll20 by most of our players. We have 2 players who have indicated they are not going to be available this evening. Our player who plays Talon is unavailable due to a work project, and our player who plays Min, she is unavailable because she is out of state visiting relatives this weekend, so she does not have access to her gaming computer. So we have 3 or 4 of our players. Let's see, is Garm online? Where is Jera online? Let me see. I don't see Jera online. So we may be down to 3 players for this evening, but that is not necessarily horrible because of the fact that last time we saw these players, these characters, they had just finished going through and cleaning out the old Moat House, the basement area there, and they had discovered what it was that is living in the well, which is a giant crayfish that came and attacked the party. And then they were able to defeat it and drive it away, but not kill it. So they know they have some work to do to be able to try to limit that monster from being able to come into the Moat House from the well area. And now they are back in the Inn of the Welcome Wench in the village of Hommlet, and they are waiting on a meal with some of the town elders, where they ostensibly will learn more about what is coming next. I believe where we left it last time, a couple of people had been doing some shopping, and then during the week I had a chance to update the experience and treasure sheet. So, and I realized when I did it that somehow I had not updated the sheet to reflect the experience from our previous session either. So make sure you look, because when I got there, it only had experience up through session 10, and we've played 12 sessions. So I added experience for session 11 and experience for session 12. So you should make sure that you add both of those to your character sheets at this point in time. I did hear from Quint during the week, or Jason, I should say, during the week. And Quint, I believe, sounds like he gained a new level. So, Jason, before we get started, why don't you let everybody know what new things Quint has now that he is level, 3?
Level 3 now, yeah. He, well, as a warrior, he gets proficiencies and non-class or non-weapon proficiencies every 3 levels. So this level, he specialized in daggers, which that'll give him +1 to his attack and +2 to damage, and he'll get another attack as well. And so with his 2-weapon fighting, he'll actually get 5 attacks every 2 rounds with the daggers. And then for his non-weapon proficiency, he chose animal lore, just to kind of keep in line with doing the ranger stuff that way.
Okay. All right. Good. So he is now level 3. Joe and Bob, did Nico or Archimedes, did they wind up getting enough experience to gain a level out of those 2 sessions?
250 about away.
Okay.
And I am.
I'm sorry, Bob. You clipped off a little bit. What was that?
I am adding that, and it looks like I'll probably be about 10 short.
About how many short?
About 10?
Oh, okay, 10. Oh, wow.
8 actually.
8 experience. 8 experience points short. You know, if this was World of Warcraft, you could go out, find a diseased rat and kill it, and ding.
Maybe someone in town has rats in their basement.
Oh. Well, yeah. Then we would turn into Morrowind. We did that. You have joined the Thieves Guild. A woman on the other side of town has rats in her basement. We will give you 100 gold if you will go and kill the cave rats. Will you accept this quest?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Then probably both of you guys, I'm going to guess both of you guys will level after this session. And you two your characters are both level 2, is that correct?
I'm actually level 3 right now, so.
Okay, so you would be the first one. Okay, so we'll now have a split from level 2 to level 4. Okay, cool. Because I think that Min, because of the wizard taking forever to gain experience points, I think Min is still probably going to be level 2 after accounting for all of the experience from last time. Which in those sessions, at least in one of them, she got some bonus XP because of some stuff that she was doing. I gave Talon and Min a little bit of bonus XP because they were the ones that crawled through all those tunnels.
Oh yeah,
and then they also had a couple of little solo RP things that several people got experience points for. All right, let us see. So you are at the Inn of the Welcome Wench, and you are waiting on these town elders to come. Did anybody want to do or need to do anything else before the town elders arrive?
No, I should be good.
It should be good, but if we had waiting time, I would have offered all the people in the team to go over their armor and weapons to make sure they're all in good condition.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll say that you've had time to do that. That there has been a little bit of, you've had a little bit of time to go and do some of those things. And let's see, we have these guys that are here, and we have these guys that are here. Okay.
And just one note, you had mentioned that the Gnolls are strong allies and henchmen that we pay might be fishing for crayfish because they thought that sounded like good food.
Yes, they might be. Although we're going to have to see how successful they are. We might be doing some rolls, and you might go back there, and depending on how successful they are, they might either all be a little bit be wearing armor a size larger, or there might be a few gnolls missing.
They do have access to all the. We gave them permission to upgrade their armor and weapons with what we found, and then also they would have had permission to send me a message by shooting like a message, like a symbol on a stick with an arrow over by where I am. So if I need to go, like do healing on them.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, well, as the afternoon turns toward evening, a party of folk come to the door. And these folk include people that, alone or separately, most of the party has met. There's Zert, there's Elmo, Mac, and Brother Tuck, along with Lord Rufus and Burne the Magnificent. And they come tromping into the inn, and they make a beeline for the private dining room over in the back here. And we'll just say that table's a little larger, and there's enough spots at the table for all of the PCs, since there's, I guess I'm gonna do this and put that there. And then if Jared shows up, we'll go ahead and add him to the room as well. Okay, you notice that they are carrying something. Actually, you notice that Burne the Magnificent is carrying something. He is carrying a large wooden box. And when I say large, it's a box that's about 4 feet long and maybe 6 inches on a side. So it's a long and narrow box. And it's got one of those, or one of the ends appears to have a hinged panel on it. And so they get in, and he just sets that behind him. And they say, yes, adventurers, let's have a meal, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the challenges that could potentially be facing you in the days ahead, as you continue to look into the source of this evil. And as they come and bring the food and the wine and the ale and the other drink. Okay, I just heard crack of thunder, so hopefully I don't lose power. They said we're going to have thunderstorms here until somewhere between 8 and 9 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
Yes. They say that Lord Rufus and Burne have positively identified and verified based on physical evidence they have from their adventuring days that these yellow eye symbols that are sewn into these cloaks, they are in fact the same yellow eye that was associated with the cult of elemental evil that had a temple out in these parts some long time ago. And they will reiterate for you a little bit of the story, and they're able to bring in some additional information with the fact that Burne and Rufus are here. At some point during the meal, Burne pushes back his plate and takes out a pipe, and he lights it, and he begins blowing smoke rings, and he does the little high level wizard cantrip stuff where he will have his smoke rings change colors as he puffs on them, and as they float up towards the ceiling of the room and slowly drift around the room. And he will say the actual source of the temple is not known, or exactly source of the cult is not known exactly, but we believe that they originated somewhere on the shores of the Near Div. And at this point, he pulls out, or he opens up this long tube, and he pulls out two, or this long box, and he pulls out two rolled up pieces of vellum. And they're kind of rolled up with each other, and he carefully separates them. And one of them he takes and he lays out on the table. And this turns out to be a map of basically a map of the region of Greyhawk. And it, he says now, we are somewhere over here near where the Cron Hills meet the gnarly forest. That is where we are right now. Where we believe that the temple originated was somewhere along the shores of Near Div. Now, of course, you can see that Near Div is an enormous lake, and there is a rough scale. So you can tell that each one of these hexes is about 30 miles. So if you count that up, that's a pretty long and pretty wide, but relatively narrow lake for its size. So it was to the east of Greyhawk, where the temple, or this cult, first arose. And there's some likely areas here. We have this bit of rocky desert area where the Cairn Hills are. We have some marsh nearby there, as well as some fertile land. So you have several of the different types of the elements that draw this cult dedicated to elemental evil together. You have earth, you have water, and all that seems to be missing is there's no volcanoes in that area. But that would be where we would expect to find, let's say, a fire cult. But they rose up some 2 or 3 centuries ago and caused trouble in the area that is now known as Greyhawk before they were put down. But as fate would have it, it seems that they were not completely defeated, or whatever elemental forces seduced those cultists are still at work and had seduced more cultists some decades ago. That is when we first started having problems with the cult of elemental evil in these parts. The Moat House that you all have just finished clearing out, that had been a way stop of sorts on a road that is not used very much anymore. And with that, he will go ahead and he will pull out the other map. He will lay it out. And this is a map that's on a much smaller scale. And he will say, now as you can see, we are here in Hommlet on this map. And you might recognize from the direction of your travel, this area here, where it's marked with danger, well, that is your Moat House. You recognize how the overgrown track split off, and in places it's so overgrown you could hardly follow it without Zert as a guide. Well, this is this old Moat House had once been a fortress that was on what we used to call the high road, which was essentially the shorter way from Hommlet to Nulb that went through the gnarly forest. And there were two such way stops, a smaller one, that being the Moat House, and a larger one, that being a keep that included with it a small chapel or a temple dedicated to the gods. And as time went on, the rise of monsters in the gnarly forest and the fact that Nulb became less and less an important center of commerce led to the fact that the high road was used less and less, and it eventually became a little bit too dangerous for normal travel. Most of the merchants decided to go by the low road, which is a longer route but a safer route that goes through the edge here of the Kron Hills and goes around the forest to intersect Nulb, right where the ford over the Emeritus Run, or Emerids Run, is located. Then, of course, as you can see over here, if you go up to the north and west, that will take you over to Verbabank. And if you continue following the low road to the east, that will take you over to Sobanwich. But as you may have guessed, while the first and smaller outpost was taken over and became the Moat House that you have just cleared out. The larger became the base of operations for the cult of elemental evil. And it was back at a time when Rufus and I were young adventurers, probably younger than some of you right now. We set out from Greyhawk along with some of our mentors and some of our elders to, as part of a party. We were aspiring adventurers working as retainers in those days, if you want to know the truth. We came as part of this party to investigate the activities and the reports of cults operating near Hommlet. Now, in those days, Hommlet was a slightly larger and slightly more important center of trade on the road to Verbabank, but the cultists wound up kidnapping some folk from the town, and monsters showed up in the town, and it caused them to send to Greyhawk for help. And that is how we got here. When we went out to the old temple, we wound up discovering, or we went out to the old keep, I should say. We wound up discovering that most of the upper level had been converted into barracks for cultists. And the chapel was a chapel that was now dedicated to evil. And there was a summoning circle wherein some of the powerful priests of the cult would summon elemental creatures from the various planes of water, air, earth, and fire. And we were fortunate to have the success we did, because it seemed that well, you've heard the saying, there's no honor among thieves, right? He looks around.
I've heard of it, but I don't believe it.
Well, there may be honor among thieves, but there's no honor among evil cultists. They may share similar goals. They may answer to the same power, but they each want to show their dominance over their brethren. So oftentimes you would find, let's say, a priest of the fire cult would summon a fire elemental and would send it along with some of the followers of the fire cult to attack the barracks of the earth elemental cultists. Or the earth elemental priest would summon an earth elemental and would send it along with some of their followers to attack the barracks of the water elemental cult, or the elemental water cult. So they, in some ways, they seemed weak and disorganized, and after putting together a strategy, we were able to fairly well overpower them and raise and destroy the altars that they had in the old chapel. And it was only then when we questioned some captives that we heard rumors that far below that place there was a whole network of dungeons and perhaps even nodes that might yet contain portals to the elemental planes themselves. And we realized that the force we had brought with us was not sufficient to deal a blow to such a highly organized outfit as that. So we decided to do what our elders thought the best thing at the time, which was to place wards on the keep, seal all of the entries from the surface to the lower underground levels, and then place great chains and great locks on all of the outer doors and outer gates, so that nothing could get in to the place and nothing that was inside could get out of the place. Or so we presumed. But now, the fact that you have seen evidence of this Lareth, who wears the same symbol of the cults, we were the cult of the elder elemental eye. That seems to be the force that all of these elemental cults follow, is the elder elemental eye. They don't have any other name for it than that. Whether this is the eye of some creature, or whether this is a some sort of entity, one of the rumored, for there are rumors that there are elemental princes that take the form of gigantic elementals. Whether this represents one of them, we do not know. And the captives that we questioned, even under magical questioning, they did not know any other name for this entity that they followed other than the elder elemental eye. And now we see that perhaps we did not finish the job as well as we thought we had. So what we would like to do is we would like to ask you if you would be interested in going out and scouting this complex in the gnarly forest and having a look and seeing what the situation is. Now, you may run into this Lareth again. Hopefully, now that you have gained a bit of strength and have a little bit more fight under your belts, hopefully you will be a bit better able to stop him. It would be wonderful if we could capture him and question him and find out exactly what the state of things out there is. But if we can't, then at least if we can get your eyes on the place, see if the wards that we placed there still hold, see if the chains that were placed on the doors and gates and physical entries are still intact. And if they are not, perhaps venture inside the keep and see what you can find. Does that sound like something that would be of interest to you?
Me, any adventure. Oh, I will take. You just need eyes, right?
Yes.
It sounds like a needful thing, but I'll be honest, it's a little bit more daring to go without our friends here right now.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do hope that your friend Min is recovering okay. Has she seemed well?
Besides needing an apology from someone who got angry at her for something that wasn't her fault, yeah, she seems like she's getting better. And I give him a scowl.
Oh, well, yes. Yes, well, I suppose I do owe her an apology. Can't imagine what I was thinking, allowing some mere apprentice to examine a magic item that even I had not been able to puzzle out. It was perhaps
judgment.
What they say about
rash on my part.
curiosity, the cat having your tongue and all that.
Yes. Well, I think that at least one of your companions. I don't see him either. The small one, the small and sneaky one. He at least seemed to complain about the dander from the cat. Perhaps if Min adjusts to being a half elf, then perhaps he will find himself more comfortable. But that is neither here nor there. Yes, you are quite right, Nico. Next time I see Min, I will apologize to her. And Rufus, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think, there are just a few of us here today, but I think, we could make a go of at least a general view of the area. Maybe, just take it slow and steady at first and start getting a lay of the land.
So trailblaze and expect them to catch up with us shortly?
Right.
Lord Rufus will speak up and he will say, I have been drilling the recruits for the town militia. And while most of them are hardly fit to watch the gates of a town like Hommlet, there are a few that are a bit more disciplined, a bit hardy, and have a modicum of common sense. I think if I talk with the town master, I think we should be able to have a detachment of them that could go along as hired muscle, if you will. If nothing else, to help carry supplies and to guard the camp when you make camp, and to help out if you run into larger numbers than we might expect. At least to give everybody a chance to retreat and make their way back to Hommlet. And Burne says, yes, and I believe that I can assist as well. I believe that I can provide you with a scroll, and it's a scroll that I believe Min would have no problem using. Perhaps I should write out several of these scrolls. A scroll of the message spell. what that will do is that will allow you to by magical means, send a message to me if you run into anything that requires more backup than mere brute force of yourselves and a group of henchmen. Then, of course, by magical means, I have the ability to contact members of the Circle of Eight, and then they have very powerful means indeed that can help to move more forces out to that location very rapidly.
Quint brings up a good point, so I'll whisper over to Quint and Archimedes. Archimedes, you can use that kind of scroll, right? And yeah, maybe we can negotiate where they'll post the squad of townsfolk to guard our Moat House and clean it up some more. And we could take the gnolls that have shown their worth to us.
I didn't know if the gnolls might be better fighters or more
better in the woods.
Yeah, than the townsfolk.
Yeah, they would help us on the trek there. Yeah, definitely.
If Archimedes, if you want to negotiate to have the militia guard our keep for us, we could potentially bring like a small bonus to the gnolls, maybe a side of beef or something too as a little treat, and then maybe the gnolls would come with us armed with some bows and their improved armor and weapons.
And you guys are whispering that among yourselves, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. They see you whispering, and Lord Rufus looks over at Mac and clears his throat a little bit. And Mac says, "Oh, yes, well, we asked you to go into danger when you explored the old Moat House and cleared it out, and you proved yourselves quite capable. And we offered as a reward the deed to the Moat House and some small amount of gold to assist you. This matter of the rise in elemental cultists, we have sent word to the west and north to Verbabank, as well as to the east to Greyhawk. And we have heard that there is a bounty out for more information on this cult. I have been assured that a caravan is on its way, or there are two caravans on their way, one from Verbabank, one from Greyhawk. When they arrive, in those caravans will be a wagon from the Royal Treasury. And I believe, based on the shipment they are sending, that we would be able to offer each of you, yourselves and your companions, we would be able to offer each of you perhaps as much as 1,000 gold pieces for information on this, on what is happening at this old keep.
I'll whisper over to Archimedes. Maybe some services from townsfolk who can do like blacksmithing or masonry, things to fix up our Moat House while we're gone.
Sure. If we can negotiate.
I'm not negotiating because I'm not good at that. I noticed that in the previous experiences. So I'm trying to whisper my thoughts to the bard, who's a much more sociable type.
Much more of the persuasion word.
Yeah, has a better chance with a charisma check, and may also have some proficiencies. That would help out with that. Speaking of which, let me go take a look at Archimedes. Let's take a look at the proficiencies.
Proficiencies.
Yeah.
Line 5.
Yeah. Okay, so there's... But under your attributes, your charisma is 16. If I'm reading that correctly. Yes. Charisma is 16. Let's see. I don't think anybody...
I'll suggest to my friends that Archimedes tried negotiating to see if we can get the gold. That's nice. But since we're putting time and our lives on the line, if some of the townsfolk, when the militia is guarding the keep, some townfolk go back and forth under militia guards to fix up the keep some more for us. Repair some holes in the walls at least.
Okay. Does Archimedes
articulate
that?
Try to articulate conversation.
Okay. Go ahead, since it doesn't seem like there's a really great non-weapon proficiency for this. Go ahead and make a charisma check. Again, you'd want to roll your charisma or lower on a d20.
Do I get it says modifier to it? +4, +5.
Yes. So your roll would need to be lower than your charisma score plus the modifier. So your charisma
16.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, basically you're rolling for a reaction adjustment.
Okay.
So yeah, if you get lower than Oh my goodness. 1. That's a critical success.
But of course it is.
That's a critical success. Wow. Okay.
Would anybody think of anything less than? Come on.
Wow. Okay.
Honey drips from your lips as you speak like words of sweetness to them.
Yes. As you offer this proposal, Elmo sort of is drumming his fingers, and then this light comes into his eyes, and he says, "Well, if we sent some of those guards, Lord Rufus, to help guard the Moat House, and we sent some townsfolk out there are parts of that old high road that are in disrepair. We could also take the same opportunity to send some of the unskilled folk out of the planting and harvesting season into those areas and start to fix up that road so that it would be more passable. We've talked about doing that for many years, but we've never lifted a finger to do it. Now that we are going to have a connection with the Moat House, with these adventurers here, living out there and watching the place, we might as well fix up the road while we're at it. And Lord Rufus says, yes, that would be a good idea. Mac, what do you say? And Mac says, I think I can convince the town master of that. Yes. Good idea. And then Zert will speak up, and he says, well, adventurers, they've told you a lot about this keep out in the forest, and that is your ultimate target. But there is a secondary source of potential information, and that is the town of Nulb. And once again, he'll point out on the map that's laid out on the table here. He'll point out where Nulb is in relation to Hommlet, and say, now if you wanted to take some time to travel, you could go to Nulb by the low road, avoid the dangers of the gnarly forest, and you could find out if they have been experiencing any problems with cultists there as well. And this would give you an opportunity to sort of prepare your resources, pick out the folk that you want to have accompany you all the way to the keep, and if you decide that you're unorthodox, but from what I have heard, rather effective allies in the Gnolls. I must say that was a very dangerous gambit, but seemingly one that has paid off. And Burne says, yes, you see, that was that very same thing that I talked about before. You, in your reports, what I have read that has been passed along to us from the council, in your reports you said that the cultists had initially hired the Gnolls and then practically discarded them, sent them on duty to basically feed the undead, and had promoted instead hobgoblins as more favored allies. That's exactly the kind of thing that this cult will do. The inconsistency, the confusion, the backbiting, if you will, between the various different cults. It's a way that if you are clever, you can almost turn some of them against others. Now, in the final analysis, they are all evil, they are all crazy, and they must all be stopped. But it may be that a tactical and strategic force of clever adventurers could do more with less, if you will, than you might expect.
How long would it take to get to Nulb from Hommlet through the low road?
Okay, so the scale is a league, and a league is about 3 miles. And okay. you can go overland, you can travel with a cart, like a 4-wheel cart being pulled by 1 or 2 horses. You can travel about 30 miles a day. So you can basically go 10 leagues in a day. And, the road is kind of windy. And in some places, you don't necessarily have to follow the road precisely. But, the roadbed does avoid some obstacles like boulders and hills and other stuff like that. Little patches of forest that you might not want to go through. And little marshy areas and stuff like that along the way. Lakes and small lakes that are too small to be put on the map here. So, yeah, it would take a few days to get to Nulb. Then again, it would probably take at least 2 or 3 days to get out into the middle of the forest as well.
Sure.
And they will tell you that beyond the Moat House, everywhere that it indicates the road is broken up, the road might actually be so overgrown that you have to slow down to find the path. So it might take longer to go through these sections where that are broken than it would take to go through the area where the path of the road is clear.
Okay.
So it could wind up being almost the same amount of time to use the low road to get from Hommlet to Nulb as it would be to use the high road to get to this old keep out here.
But we don't necessarily need to bring a cart if we're going to Nulb.
You don't necessarily need to, not unless you want to. If there's things that you can't find here that you think you might want to find there, or if you want to carry your camping supplies in a cart instead of lugging them on your back, you could maybe have a cart for that. And then, of course, obviously, the cart could also carry the feed for the horses.
I'm going to ask if the council would excuse us for 5 to 10 minutes so we can go talk, and we'll be right back. And we can step out to the main room, have our beers or wine, and chat for a moment to figure out what we want to do, and then come back and talk to them some more.
Oh, certainly. And then let us know if there's any questions you have or anything else you would like to know. We might have some answers, and we might not.
Wonderful. We'll have more thoughts in a moment, but it might be better for us to clear our minds and come to an accord before we proceed.
Oh, very well. And they ask for some for Gertie to bring in some dessert, and all of them start pulling out their pipes. And now they're gonna go and smoke their pipes while you guys go out into the common room and have your discussion.
You want to go to the common room, or you want to come to room number 2? We have a little more privacy that way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Room number 2 is a good idea.
We won't scare Gertie that way.
Yeah.
So, the easiest thing first, I think, since they've already agreed to do some unskilled labor on the roads, that we should see if they can arrange it for us, so we don't have to do all the nitty gritty detail, but find out how much it would be to hire the skilled labor, like some masons and the blacksmith, to fix the walls of the keep, and do some of the bigger repairs on the main part of our building while we're doing all this.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, we could always sell it to them too, that especially if they're repairing the road, if we can fortify the old Moat House a little more, it could help be a deterrent if anything comes from this other place or out of the woods in general toward Hommlet. That
great defensive position for their militia versus having the enemy right at their town, inside the town.
Right.
They wouldn't have to travel as far either. They could just be repairing that and the road and stay there at the keep.
So that's an easy number one. I think we're all agreed to ask for the price to hire skilled labor to fix up the keep, and that we can figure out that from our we have a bunch of treasure we haven't sold yet and everything. We can figure that out later. Then the second thing, do you guys want to go scout in the high road, or do you want to scout over at Nulb?
I mean, Nulb probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I think we should ask them if they know of anybody else in the area that might have information about what's going on there. I don't know if there would be, but besides Nulb.
And they like homesteaders with like little farming compounds around the way.
Right. Just, some rumors that maybe have drifted this way, or if they know who to ask to find out about those rumors.
That sounds like a good idea. Although I don't think that we should bring the Gnolls with us to Nulb.
We might not want to bring them at first. I don't think they're opposed to us taking the Gnolls. I mean, I guess you could sell it too that if we take the Gnolls, that's less danger to the townsfolk.
We'll have to inform the Gnolls that they're fixing up the place, right? So
yeah, I was going to say
have the bottom part of it, right? They
right.
have access to the bottom part.
Right now they have access to the whole thing, but if we had the Gnolls guarding, they would be guarding that one exit tunnel and the lower levels, and we would have the militia guarding the upper levels and the two entrances from the lower levels into the upper level. Because I was thinking that we should have one of the militia, whether it's Lord Rufus or somebody, whoever's going to be in charge, their sergeant or captain or lieutenant, whatever they're going to name the person, introduce them to the Gnoll chief so that there's not any misunderstandings. And I think we should leave the Gnolls guarding and doing scouting work in that area. And we should take a small squad of like 3 to 5 with us to Nulb to help with like night watches and everything.
Yeah, that could be good because the Gnolls could be stealthy. I don't know how stealthy the townsfolk would be.
And they'd be much safer at night with the Gnolls looking around versus the townfolk trying to like look into the darkness.
Right. I think that makes sense.
Then I guess we could like you said, take one of their carts. Make sure like we ask for a small squad to go with us, particularly because either of you guys have animal handling. I'm not any good with horses.
I have a natural inclination with domestic animals, so that's
great. Okay, cool. That makes it much better because last time this dwarf tried to ride a pony, I fell on my rear end and the pony kicked me in the shoulder.
And actually, the hills is my favorite terrain, so I don't know if that would provide any benefits traveling through there or not. But there's that going for us as well, as opposed to going through the forest.
So I think it sounds like unless there's objection, we're going to be heading towards Nulb with hopefully a small squad of militia with us to help with animal care and night watches. And then if you guys want to, we could also see what products are in the town that Nulb tends to want to buy that and then travel, bring some of there. Cause it doesn't sound like there's a lot of caravans that go back and forth pretty frequently. So we could make ourselves useful and potentially have an inn with the mercantile people in both towns.
Be good neighbors and take them some sugar so that they can, make their tea or whatever and suck up to them.
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to start our own keep brewery.
Start one. I already have a little one hidden in my room. It's only like a plastic, not plastic. It's only like a sheepskin bag where I threw in some sugar and some water. I don't know if it's going to work, but I'll drink it someday.
That's the next training we'll give the Gnolls, is how to set up a still and take care of it.
Yeah. Arley Forest.
Be still my heart.
Arley Forest IPAs are big seller.
All right, so you guys want to go back into the room, and we can have Archimedes explain the plan, since right now they're eating up everything he says.
Archimedes Silvertongue. Sounds
Okay.
good. I don't have anything.
Okay, so you guys head back in there, and okay, there we go. That is okay. That's where we will find it. All right. I was just trying to check on some costs for you guys. Okay, so you get back in there and you explain everything to them and say that your initial thought is to go to Nulb, and you'll take some militia folk with you because you think that would be less shocking to people on the road and less shocking to people in Nulb than showing up with a whole bunch of gnolls. But when you get ready to go into the gnarly forest, you will probably take the gnolls with you instead of the militia, because it'll be safer for the militia to be at the Moat House, and also the gnolls will have some advantages in terms of just naturally being better in that terrain, and being able to see things at night better, and quite frankly, they've proven themselves as capable allies in battle. Whereas the Rufus himself has kind of made you feel a little bit suspect about the capabilities of these jumped up farmers that are part of the village militia.
Quint
He says,
use a bow.
Yeah. Quint has seen it. Some of them can hit the target.
Have some promise, sure.
Yeah. Some of them have trouble hitting the target, but some of them can hit the target at least, which is good. So yes, and then you were going to ask him about something.
Hiring skilled labor.
Yes. Okay. They will tell you. You mentioned stuff about stonemasons, and both Lord Rufus and Burne the Magnificent. They both get a little. They get a little fidgety when you talk about that, because yes, there's a whole squad of stonemasons that are camped out in Hommlet that are building their keep right now, and they kind of would like to have them finish the work they're doing for them before they subcontract those people out. They will allow us how the work that they do in quarrying and shaping and building the structure from the ground up, they pay each of those stonemasons 2 gold pieces per day for their labor. And they have about...
How much time do they still need? How much time do they still need for your keep versus how much time would it take to fix the 2 broken walls?
They say, well, it's it's less a matter of how long it will take, and more a matter that they have allocated the number of workers they need to do the job. Now, we have approximately 50 stonemasons that are working for us, and the estimate is that by next spring, we should have, we should be well on our way to having at least the first level of our small keep constructed and have some spaces that are livable beyond just the tower. It took about a year to get the tower built, and it took about that much time to do the foundation work for the walls of the keep. But now they are about ready to begin the process of actually putting the walls up, and that will go a little bit faster. So maybe another 6 months.
I'm going to whisper over to Archimedes and be like, this is absurd. The security and safety of the militia over there, they want to wait a year or more before they do anything. No wonder the freaking... I'm not that silent. No wonder the elemental evil people are still in the keep and potentially going to raise and pillage this town. I'm looking like I'm trying to whisper, but I'm a drinking dwarf. I'm not that silent. I'm not stealthy.
And Mac will look at you and say, "Now, Nico, I don't think it's quite that bad.
You don't think they're going to attack you within the next year?
If we don't do anything, so
I don't think they will now. You've dealt a blow to their plans. You have robbed them of their forward base.
Delayed them by a month, at most.
You really think that
they had supplies for a small army, and we only faced about 2 squads? And if this was just one of their forward bases, then they've got supplies for a large army, and we've only ever seen like 2 squads.
And Zert looks at Mac, and he looks over at Elmo, and he says, "The dwarf has a point."
If you count all the arrow and crossbow bolts and the spears and the armor, there's a lot of points.
Yes. When I first ran across this old Moat House, it was the only obvious base of operations, if you will, that I had found. And I have been focusing my efforts on getting the town council to investigate that. And he turns to you all and he says, "And now, thanks to you, they have. But I now think it would be good for me to get a couple of other scouts and range out to other parts of the countryside to see if maybe there aren't some other ruins that are also being used as, you put it, as forward bases for these cultists."
Don't forget, apparently you mentioned that the bandits were connected to all this, and there were bandits in that keep. If there are, like, I don't know, dozens of little bandit groups harassing caravans all around the region that aren't even like directly part of their like main military force, that's hidden underneath their outposts, and they're hiring what was those big things? What were those big things that we fought? The bugbears, or not bugbears?
Hobgoblins.
Hobgoblins.
Hobgoblins, and they're hiring other like mercenary creatures like our wonderful new converts to the faith of Clangadden. How many enemies do you think are out there, and how many would it take to overrun this town?
And Elmo looks at Lord Rufus and says, if 500 well-armed and even moderately motivated goblins stormed the village, would the militia be able to stop them? And Rufus looks, and after a moment he shakes his head. He says, no. I think maybe half the militia would hold, the other half would either pee themselves or run the other way if they saw 500 goblins carrying spears and running towards them. And Rufus says, oh, well, that's what fireballs are for. We can kill a lot of goblins with fireballs. And you kill a few, and the rest will flee. They're cowardly creatures at heart.
How many fireballs can you do in a row?
Well, I could... He starts thinking. He says, I could perhaps in the space of 10 minutes, I could unleash 10 fireballs. That is, if I've prepared some scrolls in addition to my own memorized spells.
So I'm not good at math, but let's say you've got 500 goblins at the edge of your range for whatever that is. You fancy magic types do some amazing things. You are very powerful, and I respect you very much. But while they're running towards you, you throw your fireballs, and let's say you kill 20 at a time. But they're more afraid of the evil, whatever the Lareth and the evil goddess he serves, and the other whatever evil creatures that are going to torture them and their families if they retreat. So you kill 200 of them in 10 minutes, and and you get 300 of them that reach you. Do you think you're going to live through that?
And he sits there and he says, me personally, and Lord Rufus, of course, we live. But to your point, 300 goblins more afraid of the evil behind them than the danger in front of them could do a lot of destruction and cause a lot of death in a town like Hommlet.
Have we mentioned to you the picture on the roof in that one room? The priest told us to destroy it, so we've destroyed it. But have we mentioned it to you yet? I just don't remember.
Father Rule did. Tuck kind of shifts uncomfortably and says, Father Rule did mention something about that horrible picture. Yes.
So do you think they're going to be more afraid of the ones who serve that, or do you think they're going to be more afraid of dying pretty quickly and painlessly?
And Burne suddenly doesn't seem quite as cocky and sure of himself at this moment.
I mean, the truth of the matter is nobody knows what's out there. This is all speculation. And so we need to go find out what's there. And that's what you want us to do. So I think that's something we can start on and gather some intel and then move forward with the next step after that.
And have one or two masons go look at the keep and make a plan for what they could do to fix it, not to make it comfortable for us, but to make it a good spot where the militia could hold against an advancing army, at least enough time for the townsfolk to evacuate if they had to.
And
wait for reinforcements.
And Lord Rufus, he leans over to Burne, and the two of them whisper a little bit. And at first there's like some whispering, and then Burne sort of looks around the room, and he just twiddles his finger, and then suddenly you can't hear anything. You can't even hear the whisper between the two of them, but you can tell they're still talking to each other.
Who's got dispel magic?
Not yet. 3rd level. Who has read lips as a skill proficiency?
Does anybody have read lips?
Nope.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I want to say that Talon might, but since he's not here. Yeah, I think since he's not here, they will.
I try to whisper over to Archimedes and Talon or Quint, but it doesn't work. But because I forget that it's silent. But I'm like, they could have just asked us to step out of the room, and we would have been more than happy to.
They talk for a few seconds, and then the mystical silence dissipates.
Archimedes would have been blowing on the flute really, really loud.
And so...
Oh, that's
ah! Okay. Lord Rufus says, "Very well. I think you've made your point. We will send... When you get ready to go back to the Moat House, we will send 3 stonemasons with you. A foreman and 2 masons. They will do some investigation, offer some estimates of the number of men and amount of time it would take to do the repairs, and then give those to you and bring that information back to us. If it seems like it will take more people than they can spare on the job they are doing for us, we will arrange to have some more masons brought in to help finish work on our keep. But we will have some sent out to you. Now they will also, of course, inform you of the cost that it will take for their work. And I honestly do not know whether the rate for rebuilding a place is the same as a rate for building it from the ground up or not. And it may depend on what they find, whether the place is structurally sound, or whether they have to tear down what exists there and rebuild from scratch. Hopefully it will not come to that, because it would be better to think that we are halfway there toward having a usable shelter than that we need to start all over again. And so it sounds like when you guys get ready to go back out there, you will have some stonemasons that will go with you, but they will give you an estimate and some charges when they arrive and look at the place. So you can decide how you want to do that. There's also the stonemasons are really like the only specialists that you don't find many of in town. If you're looking for people that can do things like clear out clutter and even perhaps build some like wooden furniture or things like that, there are people in Hommlet that have those skills that could help with that. And you would get the sense that it's probably going to cost less to have those people do the work they need to do than it would for like a skilled stonemason to do what they need to do. So you're looking at the bulk of your expense is going to be in however long it takes and whatever the extent of the refurbishing of the walls. And then obviously that was a 2-story place where the entire second story seems to have collapsed. So that second story would have to be rebuilt back on top of it. And then all of the finishing and everything that goes along with that.
But at a minimum, we just need to secure the first level and seal off the second level.
Yeah,
for to have a defensible spot for the militia.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you can talk to the once you meet with the stonemasons, you can talk with them about that and tell them kind of, well, here's the options we're looking at. You can either do this or this or this, and then if you want to break up the work into phases, figure out what phase 1 of your job would be, and then what you would pay for later on down the road. All right, so that is basically what they have for you. Did you have any additional questions for them? They might be able to answer some, or they may have to do some research and get back to you.
Just if they or any of the other council have names of people in Nulb that they trust that we could go to for help, or for at least to get us started knowing who to talk to.
They
maybe
say
letters of production, so that we don't just show up and say that we're like these trying to do something, but no one believes us, because who really believes a bard, a dwarf, and a ranger?
There is there's only 2 people that they know of personally. And they say both of them are reliable, and they would be able to probably point you to other people in town that you could trust. One of them is the smith in town. The smith is named Otis, or the blacksmith is named Otis. Okay, so let me go and do this. I'm going to put into our yeah, okay. Blacksmith in Nulb. Otis. Okay, and he runs a shop there. It's the only blacksmith shop they know of, and they describe the shop to you so you can find it when you get there. And then there is there is an herbalist in town, or an herb monger, as they call her. Mother Scring, she is by name, and Mother Scring is very talented with brewing all kinds of potions of an alchemical sort, and mainly focuses on the healing arts. So she brews potions of healing. She also makes pastes and poultices and medicated bandages and those types of things that essentially they work similar to a potion of healing, but they work a little bit more slowly and use like contact instead of being ingested. Mechanically, what it does is if you have one of these medicated bandages, it basically increases the number of hit points you recover every day if you wear them. So that's basically what it is. And her name is Mother Scring. Now, the worst thing that you have to worry about with Mother Scring is the herbalist in Nulb. Worst thing about Mother Scring is that she has a daughter named Hruda. And Hruda is, well, there's no other way to say it, but Hruda is an old maid. And Mother Scring would very, very much like to have some grandchildren. And so, anytime that able-bodied adventurers come along, male adventurers, Mother Scring is liable to try to pawn off her daughter on them. And there's a reason that she's not married. So they don't go into great detail, but you get the impression that one way or another this daughter is very disagreeable, either disagreeable in temperament or disagreeable in comeliness, or both. So, but they say that Mother Scring is an honest herbalist and is reliable, and because of the fact that she's a healer, a lot of people in town come to her, so she will know a lot of the gossip. And it would be good to check in with her, but just be wary about her trying to fix you up with her daughter. So,
and we'll have to introduce either you, I'll look at Rufus, Lord Rufus, or whoever, like sergeant you want in charge of the militia by the keep or the Moat House, with the head of the leader of the Gnolls, so there are no misunderstandings and that everyone knows who our allies are.
And Lord Rufus says, well, I will not be able to come with you, but I do agree that once we have identified the sergeant of the militia that will be going with you. We should sit down with him and make him aware, so that he can pass along to his men. And it might be good if one or more of you could, preferably one of you, if one of you could go ahead and make sure to inform the Gnolls that you have allies coming, and make them aware that we don't want any misunderstandings. And I'm sure they're aware of how quick some folk can be to either panic or jump to conclusions. I would imagine that perhaps the Gnoll leader might have had to restrain some of his men when they first saw you.
Yes, it was quite the encounter.
Yes. Someday, and Brother Tuck says, he looks at Nico and he says, I still don't quite understand this. It's remarkable. Someday you are going to have to write a handbook for we in the clergy of the conversion of monstrous humanoids to the faith of the gods. It's said that in the lore, everything that I have read, it's said that Gnolls typically follow, if they follow any deities at all, they follow some great demon lord that looks like a two-headed gnoll himself. And they live in perpetual fear of being labeled cowards and dying in a cowardly way in battle, because then they will spend their entire afterlives being tortured by this horrible demon.
Yeah, I feel bad for you and all the other clergy. None of you have as awesome a God as I do.
And he says, well, Clangeddon is
a dwarf
very
and awesome, amazing. I understand, brother. Like, all the gods of good are great. I'm just saying, Clangeddon's got some shared interests in laying down the wrath of arms at evil things. And so the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the Gnolls imprinted on us because we were killing the same evil beings and saved their lives at the same time.
Oh, you saved their lives. That I did not hear from Father Rule.
Yeah, we didn't kill him.
Okay, well, not killing them and saving their lives are...
Clangeddon allowed my healing magic to heal one of them.
Oh, yeah, that part. They were in battle.
Oh. I don't know that I have ever met a priest of Saint Cuthbert who would have been as bold or have risked such a chance as to save the life of a monster that had been felled. But I can certainly see where, if you channeled the power of Clangeddon and brought back one of their number from death's door, that would certainly prove to them, oh, there is some power that we can follow.
None are so truly lost to the shadow that they can't be brought back to the light.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuck seems to mull that over, and he says, I would that were true. I believe there are some. This Lareth, for instance, from what I've heard, he seems very far gone to me. Do you think even perhaps he could be redeemed?
I think that he'll go into the light after we're done with him.
So I'm going to set him on fire.
And when you say that, Burne, he lets out a chuckle and he says, well said, dwarf. Yes, I would send him into the light as well. The light, big, burning, beautiful fireball.
I'm starting to really love that idea. So we're gonna have to talk about that in a few weeks, and maybe part of your apology to Lady Min could be one of those scrolls to specifically deliver with your regards to Lareth.
Well, I will have to work with her and see how far along her mastery of magic has come. If she has gained the proficiency where I feel like it would be not as much of a danger to her, because there are tricky things with arcane magics. Even if you have the magic on a scroll, if your mastery is too insufficient, well, there can be negative consequences for the caster and anyone near the caster. Let's just put it that way. So I would prefer not to load her down with magics that might be more of a danger to her and you all. But perhaps there are other. Perhaps her mastery has come to the point where I can offer her some scrolls that would be of assistance to her. And so after giving you the names of those two people, Otis and Mother Scring, they will tell you that they will leave it up to you when you all want to leave. They will send, Lord Rufus will send word in the morning once he has identified the particular militiamen that he thinks would travel with you to Nulb and would go with you initially out to the keep and then from the keep on to Nulb, or the Moat House onto Nulb, and then we'll let you. We'll also send the stonemasons with you. So, all right. Anything else you guys want to do before we start on that?
Just that night right before it gets dark, or once it's a little dark but the moon's up, go out to the side of the town closest to the what's it called, the Moat House, because I think we had told the Gnolls to have patrols going around. Whistle for one of the patrols and let them know what's going on, to expect us with some more militia the next day.
Okay, so one of the Gnolls will come, and let's see. There we go. One of the Gnolls will come, and the leader of this particular patrol is one named Trirgik. So, Trirgik, leader of a gnoll patrol near near Hommlet. Okay, and Trirgik will listen to what you have to say and say, "Oh, yes, I will tell our leader. You will bring some of the men in iron from the town. They will watch over the top of the Moat House. We will go in and out by the back entrance underground that we have found. You will tell them to stay on the top, but we will introduce ourselves when you get there so that they know us, we know them. We will work out a way to communicate, but we will stay away from them because you, dwarf, and your friends we can trust. Most humans, hard to trust humans. They not always think well. They do not follow Clangaden. They do not have the instinct for battle that Gnolls and your people do. Is this right?
Yes, it is. And here, I hand him, I had bought 5 healing potions before, and I'll hand him 2 of the ones I have left, so I have 1 more on me afterwards. But I'll have him take those back to give to the chief. So if there's any accidents or any issues, they have some way to heal their people.
Okay, very well. They will say, they will, or he will say, very well. He will take off. I'm sorry, somebody was sending me a message on Discord. I was trying to respond to them at the same time that I was trying to respond to you. And it doesn't work that well. So he will head back to the keep.
Sounds like it caused you some discord.
Huh?
I was trying to make a play on words. Like you said, it didn't work too well going back and forth. So I said it sounded like it caused you some discord.
Oh, yes, it did. It caused me some discord. All right. Then we will go ahead and probably take our break at this point, and we will come back in a few minutes. I am going to put together some names of people that will be part of the militia that will go with you and out to the Moat House, and I'll also put together some names of the stonemasons and give you some information on that. All right, let me go ahead and bring us over to the slate, and I will put the timer up then I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. And you'll see I have made an update to our
Discord.
What was I saying? I was senior moment there. Okay. All right. Oh, I've made an update to the Discord on the voice channels. So just kind of as a reminder that there's this voice channel, which is on stream, and then there's an off-stream voice channel. So during the break, if you guys want to talk about anything and you don't want that conversation to be on the stream, you can go ahead and move to the off-stream voice channel. And also, for that matter, during the session, if like two people need to strategize about something, they can jump into the off-stream voice channel and talk about it, and then come back to the main one. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and the music is up, and I'll be back in a few minutes after I grab a drink. Oh. All right. Okay, we are back. Oh, let's see. I'm going to put into the uh, into the names of the. There we go. No, that's not good. That's not right. Oh. Aha. All right. We'll put into the Discord here a few names of people that you that are being sent with you. There are a total of there's a total of 10 militiamen who are being sent. And the first one on the list, fellow named Talfrin, he is the fellow that is the squad leader. So we're going to go ahead and face that. These are the militiamen from Hommlet that are coming with you to the Moat House. And then there's there's some stonemasons. 3 stonemasons that are coming with you. And these stonemasons are these guys. And the first one, Elazar. Elazar is the, if you will, the foreman of this group of stonemasons. So, okay. All right. So that is the group that you guys will meet with. Did you want to talk with any of them before you set out from Hommlet?
So that's the group that's going to be at the Moat House and staying at the Moat House?
Yes.
Yeah, we should have words with their sergeant, and then have him pull aside whoever like acts like his corporals.
Okay. Well, that would be Talfrin. And Talfrin is the person that will meet with you as the sergeant. And he will be there with Lord Rufus. And Lord Rufus will explain that you adventurers have recruited some unusual allies, a pack of gnolls that patrol the woods beyond the Moat House and have access to the basement area of the Moat House. He advises Talfrin that his men should not go into the basement, and suggests to both of you that when you get to the Moat House, you arrange some sort of meeting between at least the leader of the Gnolls and Talfrin, so that they have an understanding. Like when they encounter each other, they don't think that, the humans don't think the Gnolls are there to try to steal, and the Gnolls don't think that the humans are there to try to, fight them or take over the place from you all. So that would be his suggestion. So what would you like to add to the situation?
Explain that they are recent converts to the god of light, Clangadden, and that in bringing new souls to the Lord, the gods of the light, we're striking a blow against evil. So it is on them to make sure that we don't have mistakes that could cause problems, since any strike against evil is one we need.
Oh, most definitely, says Talfrin.
And more importantly, they're going to save your lives, because do you really want to go patrol outside in the jungle and the woods? Or would you rather a bunch of gnolls who are at home there and have been doing this for months help keep you alive?
Well, staying alive is always preferable to the alternative. I've always heard that in times of war there can be strange bedfellows. It's a little frightening to think that we might be coming to a time of war, but from what Lord Rufus has been telling us when he's drilling us, it feels like we must be prepared to fight at a moment's notice.
How many gnolls altogether? Is the leader and then 8 more?
I think there's a leader, and was it 8 more or 9 more?
There were a lot of them.
Well, yeah, because what I'll do is whoever the leader is of the Masons, I'm going to give them a 2 gold piece for the leader and a gold piece each for the rest of the gnolls that are there. I'll say you'll present this to them in good favor. That way they'll leave you alone, and you guarantee that you'll leave them alone. That way they have a little security in it that they got paid to leave them alone.
Okay. Let me just double check here. And
we'll tell them it's just a bonus. And also we'll have to show you the 1 or 2 things in the lower level. But that's not expected for you to go down there other than with us one time.
Okay. To answer Archimedes' question, there's a total of 9 gnolls. So one leader and 8 other gnolls.
Okay, so that's how I'll give him 2 gold pieces for the leader. That's what he's to present to the leader, and then the 8 gold pieces, 1 gold piece for each of the gnolls. So that's his guarantee that, look, we're going to pay you to stay away, and we'll stay away from. That's the best interaction that they'll understand. That if you pay them to leave them alone.
And that's Elazar. Elazar Crami is the leader of the stonemasons. He's kind of their foreman that is going. And he's the one that will give you all of the estimates in terms of the number of workers it would take and how much per day and approximately how long. And then, of course, all those estimates are based on weather conditions and not finding unexpected issues and yada yada yada. So, all right. I think everybody kind of outfitted everything they needed before. The stonemasons will ask if you intend to use a cart to get all the way to Nulb, or if you plan to walk on foot to Nulb after you leave the Moat House.
How much does it cost to buy a cart? So let's say we walk to Nulb in general. How much would a cart usually cost? If we took a couple horses or donkeys or something to carry our supplies.
Okay, so a horse, a riding horse is 75 gold pieces each. And then the price goes up from there, depending on whether you want war horse or draft horse or things like that. Those are all more expensive. In terms of oh, that's weird. Under vehicles. Under vehicles. Oh, okay. Under vehicles, there's a wagon wheel and there's a carriage, but there's not like a wagon. That's really weird. Okay. So, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that what does a carriage cost, and what does a common carriage cost? That yeah, it's a bit much. Let's say that a wagon, a utility wagon, 4 wheels, a single I don't know. What do you call it? The pole that you hook the horses to. Is that the yoke, or is the yoke the thing that goes across the horse? Yeah, the yoke is the thing. Yeah. So I don't know. Whatever the I want to call it the tongue of the wagon that you hook to the yoke. That it comes with that. It comes with the yokes. It comes with the tackle, and then it has low sides around all 4 sides, a bench where the driver can sit to drive, and then the side in the back is hinged so it can fold down, but it's like these sides are maybe like 12 inches tall, and of course it sits like 4 feet off the ground. So it's a big wagon like that. That costs 50 gold pieces. So, a carriage, a fully enclosed carriage, costs 150 gold pieces. It feels like 150 is way too much for a wagon that a farmer would use. So we'll call a wagon 50 gold, and then we'll say that wagon can carry 500 pounds worth of gear.
So what do you guys want to do?
As far as what? We're going to get a wagon and 2 horses, or a wagon and...
Do we need to sell one of the things we found, or do we need money for all this?
I would think so.
I mean, I don't have a lot. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, you found a lot of spendable stuff. That's either, well, I guess you didn't find a lot of coin, but you found a lot of stuff that's relatively valuable that could be converted to coin and spent.
Alabaster box worth 800 pieces.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, it's like if you wanted to, you could probably find somebody that would trade you that alabaster box for the equivalent value in goods, or somebody that you could try to sell that to. Now, Hommlet is a small town. Actually,
there's that
no.
collectibles guy here, so Archimedes could probably sell it to that collectible guy.
Actually,
because there's the bank or whatever it is that we have the broken little pieces of clay for our deposits.
Yes. So you go to the you go over there and you start talking to him, and let's see. Remind me of your non-weapon proficiencies again, each of you.
It's going to probably just be the charisma for the bard, because I think you looked at the other stuff and we don't have.
Okay.
Persuasion.
Yeah. Well, what I'm thinking about is, does anybody have anything that would be kind of like insight or reading other people or stuff like that? Because if not, we could just do a wisdom check.
If it's a wisdom check, I can do that. I'm really wise.
That's what I think highly of
myself. I don't have any proficiencies.
Okay. All right.
On a scale of 1 to 20, I'm pretty 19 at my wisdom.
Okay, so we'll go over to the guy that does the exchanges all the coins and collectibles and everything like that. And you can talk to him, and you want to talk to him about the alabaster box. So go ahead and do a wisdom check. Yeah, in this case, Archimedes, it's not identifying anything about the item itself. It's more about reading your interaction.
Reading people or...
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already had it appraised, but I think it was Talon.
Okay. Okay, 10 out of 19. What you pick up from pick up from this gentleman is you realize that that he would be quite eager, in fact, to acquire this alabaster box. Almost as though he has he already has somebody in mind that he might sell it to.
I'll whisper that over to Archimedes so he can negotiate when the guy makes an offer to us. Let Archimedes know, like, we can just walk away, and like we could always sell it in the next town since we're going there anyway. So he can give us a good deal, or we can sell it elsewhere.
Okay, but this is going to be, what are we going to use for the bartering of the cart? And
we could sell like leather armor and some other stuff. Like we have enough resources that we can get a 50 gold cart. Just what this makes it way easier and gives us some like money to buy stuff if we need to when we're traveling.
Okay. And as you talk to this gentleman, he will he is a human, and his name is Karsten. So Karsten is the dealer of collectibles in town. They sell rarer stuff.
We also have that brooch with the gems on it that's worth 2,000.
Yeah, I'm also looking at there's a silver serving set of goblets. That's 4,000. Gold chain 500 set with diamond chips 5,000.
So do we want to like sell that stuff and then put the money, have them deposit the money in everyone's accounts evenly, and then I'll just buy the wagon and stuff out of my money since you all have been so generous with armor and stuff for me.
Yeah, if we want to divide up some of that money.
So we had that all appraised. So can we just show him everything and then see what he can do for us for the lot, and then Archimedes can negotiate since we know he's going to want this stuff.
Okay. Yes. When you bring out the alabaster box, his eyes sort of light up at that, and he seems to think that, oh yes, that would be something very nice to have. Then you keep pulling out more and more stuff. And you're pulling out these jeweled items and this silver service set.
Yep.
And these bejeweled items, and you can tell that he's starting to get a little nervous about all of this. It's because
if he's looking nervous, we can say you don't need to buy it all. We can sell a couple things here, and you can give us a letter of introduction to someone in Nulb.
Oh, well, yes. Quite frankly, some of this stuff you might have to take. You might have to take some of these things to Verbabunk to find a buyer for them. But
right.
I would be interested in the alabaster box. Let me see.
Take nothing less than 750 gold worth.
Oh, 750 gold. Oh, that is. This is a nice piece, but I'm not sure 750 gold is in my budget.
Okay.
Would you take 700 gold for it?
I whispered to Archimedes, and a wagon.
How about you throw in a wagon?
700 gold and a wagon. Oh, 4-wheel, open bed wagon.
Yep.
Standard 500-pound capacity.
That's the one.
We've moved on to let's make a deal.
Yes, I think we can do that. Yes, I can do that. And so he will count out 700 gold for you. And what I'm going to...
We did check the contents of the box too, right? There's nothing in there. It's just an alabaster box, or what was it?
It's an alabaster box that is filled with rare unguents, basically perfumey.
Was the price the value of the unguents or the unguent? I can't say it, but that word.
The value, the 800 was for the box and the unguents together.
And the other thing. Okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay, so we get that. We get the 700, and we get the wagon. That's what we need.
Yep, 700 in the wagon.
How many people total are in our group? It's 6 or 7, but I lost count because not everyone's here today.
I think there's only 5.
6.
Six of us?
Okay. Yeah, I believe there's 6, but it may be. Yeah. Well,
there's the 3 of us.
And then there's
Talon,
and Garm.
Yeah.
So 6.
6. Yeah.
Okay.
So put 100 into everyone's account and put 100 into like a group cash or something.
Sure. Who was
okay?
I thought, was it Talon that was in charge of doing most of that, or what?
Yeah,
but he's not here.
Yeah.
We can just type in chat, everyone gets 100, and there's 100 that will or what's 700 divided by 6? 110. I'll do that.
Yeah, I on the treasure sheet, I'm just crossing out the things that you guys are selling, so that you know that. Those have been dealt with.
I throw some of the things in my notes of what we're selling and who gets what. So I thought somebody else was doing that also, but if we do it for the 700, then if you just divide by 7, because we're going to go party, 6 of us. That's 100.
Yeah. Okay. Then he'll look at some of the other items, like he'll look at those he'll look at the platinum chain of office, and he'll kind of wince at that, saying that that's probably a little too expensive. But don't forget, you guys do have a bunch of gems. Like you have those 29 gems that are valued at 100 gold pieces each.
Right.
He would definitely be able to buy things like that from you.
Okay.
I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what price range. If it's
eventually. Sorry, go ahead.
If it's something that's valued at over 1,000 gold, he's probably not going to be able to afford it. If it's something that's valued right at 1,000, he may not be able to pay you full price for it.
And we also are going to need to make sure some of this sticks around for whatever it costs to fix up that Moat House eventually.
Right. Yeah, you do have like
and fire opals, 1,000 each.
Yeah, those fire opals, 10 of those are 1,000 each. If you took them to a place like Greyhawk or Verberblanc, you could easily sell those for full price. You tried to sell them in a village.
I'm just trying to get our necessity needs done right here, right now. So I was going to try to do that, buy some horses. And that's it.
I think we're good because I don't mind throwing my 100 towards some horses and the supplies, and we've got whatever else from that 100 from the party. So we'll just use my 100 towards supplies and the horses, and then whatever we need out of that second 100 from the party funds, and that should outfit the wagon and make sure we have enough feed and like rations and stuff to take us to Nulb and back.
Right. Once we get to Nulb, we can pull up again. Because we're going to take all these items with us, so we're going to sell something. We'll have enough to bring back to. We
should always bring enough food to get there and back, just in case there's like, what if Nulb got wiped out by an army of goblins?
Yeah. Make a note, Bob, and put it somewhere that you can easily reference it. Make a note of what items you are planning, what treasure items you are planning to take with you to Nulb, and what treasure items you would put basically in the vault here that you have, along with your gold so that it would basically not be traveling around with you all over the place.
Good point. I think we should just keep some of those smaller gems and some cash and leave a lot of the high value stuff here.
Yeah, because you could, 500 pounds sounds like a lot, but when you start putting, like 50-pound bags of oats and, barrels of water to make sure the animals have water and those types of things, you start to use up cargo space really quickly. And then also, and it's like, do you want to be wandering around all over the countryside with a bunch of valuables on you? Or would you rather just have basically stuff that you think you're going to need to maybe raise a little bit more money when you get to Nulb, if you need to make purchases there? All right. So, anything else you guys want to do here in town?
I can't think of anything.
If I got
All right. So
either.
we'll go ahead and we will set out from Hommlet, and you can head out on the road. And as we said, it takes maybe. I realize that it's really weird. There's travel times listed in the adventure, and then there's these maps with these scales that are listed in the adventure as well. And when you then start cross-referencing those among the travel times in the book, it's like, wait a minute, how are you getting from there to there that quickly? It says you're taking like half a day to get, or 2 or 3 hours to get to the Moat House. But if I'm going strictly by the book, it looks like it would take you the better part of a full day to get there. But oh well, the adventure says it's a few hours, so it's a few hours. Then I guess we just chalk that up to the fact that these hand-drawn maps are not quite as accurate as we would expect them to be.
How much should we reduce my 100 and that extra 100 for the do we need 1 draft horse or 2 draft horses?
Okay.
I just want to deduct it. Okay, I think you said the riding horse was like 50 or something.
Riding horse is 35 gold. Now a draft horse will actually run you, if you want to get an actual draft horse, that'll run you 200 gold. We just need 1 though for the wagon, right? Yeah. So
we'll take that 200, my 100 and the party 100 to cover the draft horse.
Okay. All right.
And Archimedes is going to draw a horse for him to ride.
Okay. So 75, and we'll say that for the price of the horse, if it's a draft horse, it comes with all the stuff you need to hook it up to the wagon. You don't have to buy all that crap separately. If it's a riding horse, it comes with a basic saddle and basic, tack and harness and that kind of stuff, bit and bridle.
Yeah.
Quint will buy a
Yeah,
horse
I
too,
still
so
do.
he's not far behind.
Okay. All right. Then, depending on how many days you think you're going to be out with this wagon, it's you spend approximately 1 silver per day per horse for feed. And then when you get somewhere, it's 5 silver per day per horse to keep it in the stable and make sure it's fed and watered and brushed down and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, walked and all that stuff.
So you said about like 3 days to get there?
To get all the way to Nulb. Yeah, you're probably gonna take like 1 day. If you start off from the keep, take you like 1 day to get here, take you like a second day to get up here, and then on the third day you'd get to Nulb.
So we should budget for at least 4 days.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also an extra 5 gold towards the spare wagon wheel just in case.
Yeah. Spare wagon wheel just in case. That's so strange that's in the thing and not the. Okay. Because yeah, they can nickel and dime you to death under the tack and harness. I mean, you can buy all the separate, Now, if you want a fancy saddle, I'm gonna charge you for fancy saddle.
No, yeah, we're just looking to get there and with it. Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say, if you're paying 200 gold for a draft horse, it's gonna come with the stuff you need to hook it up to a basic wagon.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So then the Masons they have their own wagon, and they have tools and supplies and things like that in their wagon, as well as their tents and stuff like that, because while they're here in Hommlet, they are not living at the inn or staying in people's houses. They have set up kind of a work camp with tents and everything, and so at the end of their day, they're a little bit off to the edge of town. There's like this whole area where there's a bunch of like 20-30 tents, and then the horse lines and the wagons that all of the stonemasons use for their supplies and everything like that are all over there. But this group of stonemasons will bring one of their wagons with you, or with them, to go to the Moat House, and then presumably use it to come back to Hommlet.
Do you think the total for all supplies, extra wagon wheels, everything we need for the 4 days to Nulb, and a couple extra days in case we got hit by weather or something, do you think like 37 gold would cover it, or do you like less than that?
I would say,
because I'm just adding up the copper, the silver, and the gold we got from the last 2 sessions, just the change laying on the ground with the bones and everything. And we had the 840 copper, the 76 silver, and 22 gold. So we could buy the supplies out of that and then divvy up whatever's left.
Okay. There are, I thought they're under the adventuring gear. I think there's rations for adventuring, which
Yeah, like you were saying with the nickeling and diming, I thought it might be easier just for you to pick like a general number.
Yeah, I think if you have I think if you spend like 20 gold, that's plenty of money for your food and sort of incidental little tools and things like that you would need along the way. Stuff like, if you guys are carrying a tent for your trip to Nulb, be tools like the hammers and the stakes and everything to put the tent up and all that kind of crap. And then things for getting a fire started, hand axe for cutting some firewood, this, that, and the other. All that kind of stuff. About 20 gold should cover it. So yeah.
Right. We have like 38 gold from the coppers, the silver, and the gold we found. So that means like 18 golds left, divided 6 ways is 3 more gold each.
Okay. All right. So you guys go ahead and make it. You leave in one morning from Hommlet, and you make it by a little bit after mid-morning. You're at the old Moat House, and the stonemasons, as they get there, they go, "Oh, that's a real fixer-upper, isn't it?"
Yeah, she looked that way when we found her. We're not trying to fix everything, but right now the main goal is just how can you make the first floor defensible and close off the broken spots nicely so that if the militia needed to hold this spot against attackers, that they would be able to do it and make a defensible location. Oh, and there's 1 or 2 spots on the lower level that we'd also probably want to block off down the road.
Okay. And so they, let's see. We have Bob here. We have Quint here.
And since we're here, like tell everyone to hold their arms, do not attack, no weapons. It's a good time for everyone to meet outside. And I'll whistle and be like, "Hey," and like call out to the Gnolls, like, "Hey, brethren of Clang Adden, safely and nicely come out so you can meet our new friends."
Okay. All right. And we'll put that there. And they, a few of them will come trotting up, led by their leader. And they will have their weapons are sheathed. Their bows are slung across their backs. They're not holding any of their weapons in their hands. And
anyone who pulls a weapon is going to have to do burpees.
And they, you notice now that all the gnolls are wearing some sort of necklace. And as they get a little bit closer, you realize, Nico, that this necklace actually is like a piece of bark that has been sanded or whittled kind of smooth, and then a crude holy symbol of Clangaddon has been carved into it on one side, and so they're all wearing that around their necks.
Oh, that brings a tear to my eye.
And they say, "Oh, hail, friend Nico," and friends of Nico. And when these gnolls come up, the militiamen, some of them, they kind of take a few steps back and kind of, they are nervous. One or two of them will put their hands like on the hilts of their weapons, but they don't draw their weapons or anything. But they're just kind of, and when you look at them, the ones that are holding onto their weapons, their hands are kind of quavering and shaking, like they're.
All right, I'm gonna walk straight up over to them and start giving the gnolls hugs and be like, "Good to see you, brothers." And then it's like take them down and like let's all take a knee and pray to Clangaddon for the blessings that we have. And then I'm gonna waste one of my vials of holy water just because narratively it fits, and I'll go to each one and say a prayer over their holy symbol and drip some holy water into it and like rub it in and like pray over the holy symbol so the militia see this like ceremony.
And and the stonemasons, they kind of sidle over next to the militiamen, and they all are watching this. And Quint and Archimedes, as Nico goes about doing this ceremony with these gnolls, the look of fear, the looks of fear on the faces of the militiamen and the stonemasons, that turns to just astonishment. And then one of them will come up to you, Quint, and will say, How did this happen? Those are monsters. But they follow the gods of the dwarves? Where did you find such creatures?
I'll tell them that it's a long story, that one day when time we'll sit down and drink, and I'll retell the tale. For now, he can just have confidence that they won't do him any harm, and they'll help keep him safe here in the Moat House.
And they just sort of shake their heads in disbelief, and they kind of exchange some nervous laughter with each other, but they begin to relax. And then the stonemason, the guy who is the foreman of the stonemasons, Elazar, he will reach into his the sack, the little coin purse at his belt, and he'll kind of start fidgeting with that. I mean, he's going to wait for Nico to finish because he recognizes that there's some sort of religious significance to what he's doing. But he will go ahead and begin, or he'll wait for Nico to finish that up. But he's kind of nervously playing with that coin purse because he remembers, oh yeah, he's supposed to pay these gnolls.
Yes. And gold pieces for them.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So Nico, you go ahead and you finish up that ritual there with the gnolls, and you exchange hugs with them and everything. And the Gnoll leader will step forward and will raise a hand, an open palm, towards the militiamen, and will kind of do this very awkward attempt at a human-like wave, where basically he holds his hand up and keeps his palm flat, and then just sort of flexes his fingers forward a few times. It's like he thinks that's what he's seen humans do, but it's definitely a strange way of waving. And he says, "These, we are the 9. There are 9 of us in total. The Gnoll band. We will stay away from the surface of the Moat House, the upper floor, unless you need us." And then he looks at Nico. He says, "Did you teach them signal for how to let us know if they need us?"
No, they should.
Why don't you show them? And we'll do it back and forth a couple times, and then have the sergeant do it with them.
Okay, and so they work on that, and everybody gets comfortable that they know that signal. And then the Gnoll leader will say, "We have provisions and supplies in basement of the Moat House. We will occasionally come for those. I tell my men, I will tell my men, only come when sun at high point in sky. So if you hear bumping around in basement, and you look up and sun at highest point in sky, that is us. If you hear bumping around in basement and sun not in highest sky, then let us know. We come help you fight whatever there."
Are the militia wearing like leather armor, or do they like what's their equipment?
The leader has a chain shirt, but everybody else does have leather armor.
Okay,
And
do they all have shields?
There's 2 of them that have two-handed weapons, and so like one of them has a great sword, and one of them has a great axe, and then the others have like a short sword or a long sword, and a small shield, not a buckler, but basically like a small shield.
Okay, so we don't need to go into our equipment stores below to make sure that they have at least basic equipment.
No. And then they do have, most of them do have bows. Some of them are short bows, but 6 of them are long bows. And so those look like bows that they would probably normally use for hunting.
All right, so we'll let them know
they're serviceable for battle if they need it.
So we can let them know, and the Gnolls know that, like, if it comes to it and there's like a siege or something, if you need extra arrows, there's some crossbow bolts and arrows down below in the what's left of the armory.
And Gnolls and the militiamen will all agree to that. And then as that conversation is winding down, Elazar will step forward, and he will get his coin purse, and he will explain to the Gnoll leader that they are here to do renovation and work, and that they wanted to thank the Gnolls for helping to guard the place. So he reaches into his coin purse and he takes 2 gold pieces and he gives it to the Gnoll leader. And then he starts taking extra coins and giving it to the others. And there's only like 4 of the Gnolls there. And then with the other 4 coins, he pulls those out and he says to the leader, he says, will you give the rest of your men these? And he's like, oh, yes. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you very much. And then he looks at Nico. He says, this what happened when all of you humanoids in town, you pay each other for good things you do.
Most of the time. Not always.
Oh.
There's complicated moments. But in general, yes. When you do a service like guarding the keep, like you work for us, you guard our keep, we pay you. Other people, you help keep them safe. If they ask you to help keep them safe and they pay you, then that makes it a benefit for everyone.
Oh, yes. See that now. Yes. Oh, very interesting. Well, we will need to have to start talking amongst ourselves about how we make sure we take care of each other. I guess we always just share the kill and share the hunt and share the spoils. And that's what you and your friends do, right?
Yes, we share and we figure out what we need to be stronger together.
Good. Well, yes, we happy to help you, Militia. We happy to help you, stonemasons, and maybe sometime at when sun high in sky, if it okay, maybe one of us come and ask stonemasons how they do what they do. I would like to watch what they do. That's very interesting to me. And Elazar says, well, yes, yes. If you have the time to do that, that would be fine. Meanwhile, Master Nico, Master Quint, and Master Archimedes, we should begin examining the place to find out how much work it is going to take to do the renovations and how many men we will need. And he looks around and he says, the good thing I can tell is that the outer walls are mostly intact. Certainly there's a couple of places where we will have to rebuild them, and a couple of the towers will need some work. But for the most part, it seems pretty solid and well built. Good foundation as well. And then they begin. Go ahead.
We'll warn him of the well. Still got a permanent in there. Be careful of that.
The giant crayfish, but you can use the rope and lower a bucket and pull it up, and you'll be safe.
Oh, okay. Yes, we don't plan to go underground unless you need us to. You mentioned perhaps there would be some work to do down there, but
that's at a later date.
Yes, let me do a survey of the upper areas first and give you my estimate for the time and a number of masons it will take. And so he begins to go off and do that. And when he does, he and the stonemasons do that. The gnolls, they will take their leave. They'll say a brief, and you can tell they've been working on it, but they still don't quite have it completely right yet. They try to say a blessing of Clangeddon, and it they get pretty close. It sounds it sounds like, because they're trying to say it in the way that they've heard you say it, which is probably in the proper Dwarvish.
Oh yeah, I've been working on teaching them Dwarven.
Yeah, and it comes out more as Clangeddon has good socks, as opposed to Clangeddon watch over you. Clangeddon has good socks, and
everyone in the military knows you got to make sure you have good socks.
And so then the gnolls will take their leave. And as the gnolls take their leave and head back out, the militia folks will begin to wander through the place, making sure they stay out of the way of the stonemasons. And that is where we will leave our session for this evening.
And tell the militia that they need to stay in groups of 2 or 3 at minimum. Nobody goes off by themselves.
Okay, yes, definitely. They will do that. All right. Well, players, thank you guys for being here this evening. Thank you for coming and hanging out tonight. I want to double check that. Let's see. All right. Yes. Next week, road match. So that doesn't interfere with our game. So we will meet for our next session next week. And we will be back here at the same time, 7:30 Eastern time. And viewers, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with us today. We appreciate that. You can find us here on a few days a week with different campaigns. Tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time, we will be here for our 5th edition Planeswalking campaign, The Walker of Waterdeep. And then on Monday night, I will be doing my One Mic Monster Monday, and this week we're going to be looking at the history of the Zorn, which is kind of a very strange elemental creature. It's got 3 eyes, 3 arms, 3 legs, and 1 mouth at the top of its head. And so it's a very strange creature, and we'll talk about its history in D&D and using it in campaigns and such like that. Then on Thursday night, we will be back for our 5th edition Sword Coast Chronicles game. And that game is one where we are telling a homebrew story, but weaving that story through the plot lines of the published 5th edition campaigns from Wizards of the Coast. And that right now we are in the Storm King's Thunder storyline, and they are looking for a storm giant king who has been captured, and they're hot on the trail of that kidnapped king. So you can join us for those, and you can find all of the archives of all of our shows over on the YouTube channel. And then also, just as a quick reminder, we do have a Discord we're building a community where our players and the DM and the viewers can interact. And so you can come and find that. I've thrown that in the chat. Click on that link, and that will get you over there. All right, players, thanks again. Do any of you have? Because I think Nick or I think Casca has something coming up in November. But does anybody else have anything they want to talk about before we stop the stream?
Oh no.
Okay. All right. Yeah, one of our players who couldn't make it tonight. There's an event coming up in November. But if you join us on future Saturday nights between now and then, he will talk about that some more as the date gets a little closer. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you next time. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for a great game.